guys, welcome back to Top 5 Creepiest Lost Episodes Part 8. The final season 1 episode.
Hey guys, it's Dipsy. Me and George are just
back from that party. I loved it, right, Dipsy?
Yeah. Paul and Dipsy might come at the first one, so keep in mind they're all creepypastas, and they might hunt their dreams. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1 on
Take 2. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1.
On number 5.
Where bad kids go.
During the author's childhood, when there was a war in Lebanon, he used to watch a children's show that broadcasted incredibly violent and gruesome imagery. The morals of each episode would always end with messages such as, "Bad kids stay up late," or "Bad kids steals food from the fridge." Every episode would also end with the camera zooming in at a big, locked door, and the closer the camera got to the door, screams of pain and agony could be heard. Text would then appear on screen stating, "That's where bad kids go." When the author got older, he did some research and found out where the show had been produced all those years ago. When opening the infamous door from the program, he froze. Blood, feces, and bones were everywhere, and a caged microphone was standing in the middle of the room. The screams had been real.
Hey guys, me and Paul are back. Oh, Dipsy and George. How was the party?
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Sorry we showed the bodies. Let's go on to...
Those were dead bodies.
Boo-boo. Number 4.
Cartoon cat.
Warning. This one is a Trevor innocent. But, let's just get started in 3, 2...
It had started to get dark, and I was just getting started with my work when a notification on my computer startled me. It was an email from Phil, one of my best friends. He would always bombard me with dumb things he found on the internet. I thought about not opening it, but curiosity got the better of me. "You gotta see this," said the title. I smiled. Coming from Phil, it could be anything, but this enthusiasm caught my attention. I clicked the email and a photograph appeared. It was a pretty disturbing image of an abandoned place, messy and very gloomy. There was an open door, and from there a strange black creature was peeking out. It looked like some kind of dog, although its limbs were too long, and for some reason he had a hand that made you think of old cartoons. I didn't understand why Phil sent me that picture, and he didn't give any explanation or context in the email either. I couldn't help but shiver. That image was unsettling, precisely because it just didn't make any sense. But it was just a simple image anyway, so I thought nothing more of it and continued working. A few minutes later, I got another notification. It was Phil again. I frowned. I didn't want to see any more of his images now that I was focused on my work, but maybe he would provide an explanation this time around. Curiosity once again got the better of me, and I opened the email. This time, the message had no title. In fact, the email only had one photo where you could see the same strange creature in a very dim place. In the lower part of the photo, I could distinguish part of its head, elongated and stretched, on the ground. I could see the attributes of that creature a bit better, and instead of a dog, it looked more like a sinister cat. I would definitely stop opening any more emails from Phil now. They not only distracted me, but also made me feel uneasy. I guess he thought they were amusing, since he kept sending me more and more messages that I decided not to open. It was almost midnight now. I had 2 more hours of work left, so I got up from my desk and went to make a coffee. I was in the kitchen when I heard the sound of yet another notification. Isn't Phil getting tired of this? I ignored it and poured coffee in my cup. But then I started hearing an incessant stream of notifications coming from my computer, one after the other. And that's when I ran out of patience. Angry and annoyed, I went back to the living room to see my computer screen, and what I saw left me shocked. I had dozens of messages in my inbox, but none of them were from Phil. They were all sent from the same account, @CartoonCat. They looked like spam, and it was very clear I should have ignored them, but yet again, curiosity got the better of me. There was no message body in any of the emails, just a series of photos of the same strange creature as before. In the first one, the strange monster was standing up in front of a house with its mouth open and a disturbing expression in its eyes. The second photo looked darker, but you could still make out its demonic expression and its mouth full of blood. And then I saw the last photo. I was frozen in shock. No, it just couldn't be. I could recognize that place perfectly. It was my own living room, and the strange cat was peeking through the door. My own door. Its menacing face was looking at me with a violent and macabre expression. A drop of sweat slid through my forehead, and I slowly turned my head. And there it was. Its elongated figure stood up in the middle of the darkness of the hallway. It opened its mouth slowly, showing its teeth. I was absolutely frozen in fear as that monster let out an infernal growl. The last thing I remember was seeing it plunge towards me, and then everything went dark.
Number 3.
1999, aka Mr. Bear.
In 1999, Elliot's life changed forever. Elliot was a very normal child. He loved Pokemon like almost every child at that time. One day, his father gave him his own television to watch Pokemon while he watched the news. However, the TV was very old and it only had 20 channels available. Elliot discovered Channel 21. It was called Caledon Local 21 because it was broadcasted from the town of Caledon, close to Ontario, in Canada. The shows on Caledon Local 21 looked poorly made, and they were hard to understand for a little child. There were just 3 shows that Elliot could remember, because they left a mark on his memory even if he tried to forget about them. The first one was called Bobby. It was a show where the characters were simply live-action hands. No puppets or anything, just hands. The second one was called Mr. Bear's Cellar. The show featured a guy wearing a bear mascot costume who would get a new visitor into his cellar every day. It was always a kid. He always opened the door and they danced together. The episode ended with them playing hide and seek, with the kids hiding in a closet and Mr. Bear counting. Elliot also remembers a show about a can of soup and a spoon swinging back and forth. The ending showed 7 kids sitting around the table, each with a bowl of soup in front of them. They all looked confused and scared. The cameraman said, "Spoons ready?" and then it just stopped. Elliot hadn't watched Channel 21 for a while until that summer night. It was the strangest episode ever. There was a kid talking to Mr. Bear and saying how it was late and his sister had to go home. Mr. Bear said he didn't care. The kid began climbing up the stairs and saying he was going to call the police, so Mr. Bear started running towards him. The camera then cut off. The Bobby Show was the last episode Elliot watched on TV. It showed Bobby and another hand. This hand was smaller and was jerking around violently, as if someone was forcing the hand. Suddenly Bobby grabbed a pair of scissors and started cutting those little fingers. Elliot turned the TV off. It was the most horrible thing he had ever seen. One day he decided to write Mr. Bear a letter to visit his cellar. Mr. Bear sent him a very polite response and gave him his address. Elliot's dad took him to Mr. Bear's house, but when they arrived at the front door, they were surprised to see a police officer emerge from the doorway. It seems Mr. Bear and Bobby were the same person. He kidnapped kids and then held them in his cellar before killing them. The police couldn't catch the murderer, but Elliot had been lucky. After that, he started an investigation on his own about Caledon Local 21 that ran from October 1997 to August 1999. In 2011, Elliot started writing a blog about his experience. One day, he received an email from Mr. Bear apologizing because they couldn't have met when the kid went to visit. However, he promised him they would be able to meet each other soon. Elliot kept investigating and watching the videos the police showed him. All of them were horrible. The last video he could watch was The Children's Final Destination. The episode took place in a forest, and the camera was aiming at a campfire, but the fire came out of a large hole, and something was moving inside. Elliot couldn't believe his eyes. Elliot's final blog post was was in June 2015. He said his email had been flooded with messages from people fooling him, but he was about to find the truth. We haven't heard about Elliot since then. His followers are still waiting for some news about him. If you like this Draw My Life about the creepy...
Number 2. Rugrats Lost Episode.
We're all familiar with the animated series, The Rugrats, right? Well, a few years ago, I found a blog that looked like a storyboard page from an unaired episode of the show. I thought it was fake, but unfortunately, it wasn't. I don't know what kind of sketch artist worked there at the time, but the storyboard was too disturbing and not at all appropriate for children. The said page started with Angelica mistreating Tommy. She ordered him to bring her juice from the kitchen. Tommy then prepared a glass in which he added dog food and toxic cleaning products. When he was about to give the poisonous juice to Angelica, Tommy's mother stepped in on the spot and prevented her son from giving her the drink, arguing that no juice before dinner. Then Tommy's father showed up, pushed the mother to the ground. Then Tommy's euphoric father looked at his son and said, "Pay tribute to the alpha male of this house, you little parasite," and drank the glass of juice. Tommy began weeping and ceasing from the stress of the moment. Disturbed, Angelica said to her uncle, "Wow, Uncle Stu, I didn't know you were this strong," and then started making strange noises. Mr. Stu proudly replied to the little girl, "That's right, someday you'll be Daddy's little girl." And that was the end of the plot. According to the blog post, when the producers found about this, they ended up firing half of the staff. How did they end up doing this? It was beyond my comprehension. Good thing it didn't air. The blog kept explaining what was going to happen in that plot, and the truth is that they had very inappropriate stuff. Those images got stuck in my mind, and I will never see that show with the same eyes again. The storyboard had come from Steve Grizzle's personal blog, creator, animator, and director of the show. But why did he do it? Revenge for the firings? And you, what do you think? Is it real or is it fake? Leave us your opinion in the comments.
Number 1. Take 3.
Number 1.
Mr. Nosy Bung.
This character is from an 80s British TV show and was originally supposed to serve as the program's comic relief character. As the show went on, he became more the subject of fear. Episodes would often show Mr. Nosy Bunk acting out clues to the word of the week. After all, this was an educational children's show, and for a children's show, he was downright horrifying. His mask had these big, lifeless eyes that just kind of stared off into the distance. This wide and unchanging grin that displays a haunting smile, and an unusually large nose. In the show, he's always silent, and often had his nightmarish repetitive tune accompany him. Not much was really known about his character, and information was scarce until recently, when he was brought up online. Charlie Brooker, host of the BBC television series Screen Wipe, describes him as a leering death mask figure who haunted his dreams and struck him as the kind who would sneak into a stranger's bedroom in the dead of night and knife you and knife you and knife you.
Thank you for watching.
Like and subscribe.
We're gonna take a break from top 5 scariest lost episode. Bye.
Yeah, season 2 is going to be on April. See ya.
Bye.